What happens when a successful writer receives a mysterious phone call and vanishes into thin air, only to be found 8 days later in the most impossible circumstances? Welcome to SherlockMode. Baltimore, May 16, 2006. The air is thick with spring warmth as another ordinary Tuesday evening settles over the historic city. In a quiet home, Rey Rivera, a 32-year-old aspiring screenwriter with dreams as big as a 6'5" frame, is saying goodbye to his beloved wife Allison. She's heading to Richmond, Virginia for a business trip. Just 6 months married, they're planning their return to Los Angeles where Rey can chase his Hollywood dreams. For now, Rey works as a financial writer for his longtime friend Porter Stansberry's investment firm, Stansberry & Associates, a subsidiary of the massive Agora publishing empire. As evening approaches, Rey settles into his routine. He's left his computer running, displaying a curious website, the exact time of sunset in Baltimore. In the kitchen, his snack waits untouched, sour cream and onion chips and a grapefruit soda. His Invisalign retainers sit on the counter. Upstairs, their houseguest Claudia goes about her evening, unaware that she's about to witness the beginning of one of Baltimore's most haunting mysteries. At exactly 6:30 p.m., the phone rings. Rey answers with his usual cheerful demeanor. But within seconds, everything changes. Claudia hears Rey's voice, a sharp, alarmed exclamation, "Oh," or perhaps, "Oh shit." The conversation is brief. Too brief. Rey slams down the phone and rushes toward the door with an urgency that chills the air. He grabs only the essentials, his keys, cell phone, $20 in cash, and a credit card. Nothing more. Rey bursts out of the house, but then, he returns. For just a moment. He doesn't speak to Claudia, doesn't leave a note. And then he's gone. The black Mitsubishi Montero disappears into the Baltimore night, carrying Rey toward a fate no one could imagine. Hours pass. Allison calls from her hotel room in Richmond around 9:30 p.m., expecting to hear Rey's familiar voice. Instead, Claudia delivers news that makes Allison's blood run cold. Rey left hours ago and hasn't returned. That mysterious phone call would later be traced to the Agora publishing switchboard, but the identity of the caller remains unknown to this day. By 5 a.m. the next morning, Allison's worst fears are confirmed. Rey never came home. She packs immediately and races back to Baltimore. The house tells a story of interrupted life. Rey's snack sits untouched. The lights in his office burn bright. His Invisalign retainers remain on the counter. Allison files a missing person report. Family members fly in from across the country. A desperate search begins. For 6 agonizing days, Rey Rivera seems to have simply vanished from the face of the earth. No phone calls, no bank activity, no sightings. Then, on May 22nd, a breakthrough. Rey's black Mitsubishi Montero is discovered in a paid parking lot in downtown Baltimore. The parking ticket reveals it's been there since May 16th, the very night Rey disappeared. But where is Rey? The car sits adjacent to one of Baltimore's most iconic landmarks, the historic Belvedere Hotel, a 13-story monument to the city's Gilded Age. Built in 1903, the Belvedere has witnessed over a century of Baltimore's history. Its elegant facade hides secrets within its walls. On May 24th, as the search intensifies, a strange smell begins to permeate the hotel's second floor. Staff initially dismiss it as a dead animal. Meanwhile, 3 of Rey's former colleagues from Stansberry & Associates decide to conduct their own search near the hotel. Mark Whistler, Stephen King, and George Rayburn climb to the top floor of the parking garage adjacent to the Belvedere. From their vantage point, they peer down at the lower roof of the hotel's second-floor annex. What they see stops them cold. A pair of flip-flops, a cell phone, eyeglasses, and next to these personal items, a hole, a jagged, ominous hole in the roof. The hole measures approximately 45 by 33 inches, large enough for something, or someone, to have crashed through. With trembling hands, one of them calls Detective James Mingle. The words barely form. "We think we found Rey." Hotel maintenance worker Gary receives the grim task of investigating the locked and used conference room beneath the hole. At 1:30 p.m., Gary unlocks the door and steps inside. The sight that greets him will haunt him forever. Rey Rivera's body lies in the empty room, wedged against a wall. After 8 days, decomposition has taken its toll. Gary bolts from the room in panic, rushing through the hotel seeking refuge in a nearby salon, desperate for a drink to calm his nerves. The Baltimore police arrive to confirm what everyone feared. Rey Rivera is dead, his body discovered in the most bizarre circumstances. But how did Rey end up in a locked conference room? The physics of his location raises more questions than answers. For Rey to have reached this spot from the main roof, he would have needed to travel 43 feet horizontally, while falling 177 feet vertically. The calculations are staggering. Rey would have needed to achieve a running speed of approximately 11 miles per hour to clear the distance. Dr. Melissa Brazel conducts the autopsy. Her findings are as puzzling as everything else about this case. Rey's injuries are consistent with a fall from great height, but several details don't align with the official theory. His feet show minimal damage, unusual for someone who allegedly landed feet first from such a height. Most of his injuries concentrate on his left side, an atypical pattern for falls from height, which usually cause symmetrical damage. Even more puzzling, Rey's spine shows minimal damage, despite the tremendous force that should have impacted it upon landing. The toxicology report reveals traces of alcohol, but not enough to suggest intoxication. No drugs are detected in his system. The autopsy also reveals potato chips in Rey's stomach, suggesting he died shortly after leaving home, not hours later. But there's still a 6-hour gap between when Rey left his house and when residents heard a crash around 10 p.m. at the Belvedere. The condition of Rey's personal items defies explanation. His cell phone, found near the hole, shows scratches but still works perfectly. His eyeglasses, discovered on the roof, are virtually untouched, no cracks, no bends, despite the alleged violent fall. One flip-flop shows a broken strap, possibly indicating a struggle or trauma before any fall occurred. Back at Rey's home, Allison makes a discovery that adds another layer to this mystery. Behind Rey's computer monitor, folded, sealed in plastic, and carefully taped, she finds a note. The note appears to have been created the day Rey disappeared. Scraps of paper in the nearby trash suggest he prepared it that very day. The contents of this note would baffle investigators, family members, and the FBI for years to come. It begins ominously. Brothers and sisters, right now, around the world volcanoes are erupting. What an awesome sight. The note contains what appears to be a Masonic phrase, "Whom virtue unites, death will not separate." Rey writes, "I stand before you a man who understands the purpose and value of our secrets. That's why I cherish them as secrets." The note references deceased celebrities like Christopher Reeve and filmmaker Stanley Kubrick, along with people Rey knew personally. Most intriguingly, it mentions movies, including David Fincher's psychological thriller The Game. In The Game, the protagonist believes he's lost everything, only to discover it's an elaborate setup designed to make him appreciate life. The film climaxes with the main character jumping from a building, crashing through a glass roof in an attempt to escape his perceived tormentors. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit examines Rey's note extensively, reaching a chilling conclusion. They determine the note suggests Rey may have suffered from persecutory delusional disorder or bipolar disorder with untreated manic episodes. The FBI report states, the mental illness suffered by the author may go virtually undetected by family, friends, and co-workers. Yet those closest to Rey vehemently dispute this assessment. They saw no signs of mental illness, no indication of suicidal thoughts. Rey had been exploring Freemasonry in his final days. He purchased Freemasons for Dummies on the day he disappeared. That same day, he contacted a local Masonic lodge about membership. The conversation was described as completely normal by the lodge member. This interest in Freemasonry would spawn numerous conspiracy theories about Rey's death, though no evidence supports Masonic involvement. The investigation reveals troubling security failures at the Belvedere on the night Rey disappeared. Surveillance cameras that had been operational the day before and after Rey's disappearance were mysteriously disconnected that night. The rooftop access was surprisingly easy. Elevators were often left unlocked, fire doors lacked alarms, and staff used the roof for smoke breaks. Author Makita Brotman, who lived in the Belvedere at the time, heard a loud crash around 10 p.m. on May 16th. She initially thought it was a car accident, looked outside, saw nothing unusual, and dismissed it as typical city noise. Only later would she realize she may have heard the moment Rey Rivera's life ended. The conference room where Rey's body was found had been used for months, accessible from Charles Street or the adjacent parking garage. No employee or resident of the Belvedere ever reported seeing Rey enter the building on May 16th. The room's ceiling was made of flexible material, gravel and tar construction typical of early 1900s buildings. This type of roofing could theoretically break under the force of a falling human body, but forensics couldn't definitively confirm this theory. Baltimore Police Commissioner Fred B. Feld eventually declared, "There's not been one scintilla of information developed that would indicate anything criminal." The case was officially ruled as probable suicide, but the medical examiner listed the manner of death as undetermined. Rey's connection to Porter Stansberry's financial firm adds another dimension to the mystery. Stansberry and Associates had been under SEC investigation for fraudulent investment advice, resulting in a $1.5 million fine in 2007. Though Rey had officially resigned 6 months before his death, he continued working as an independent contractor for the company. Some theorists suggest Rey may have discovered something damaging about the company's practices, leading to his death. However, Porter Stansberry maintains his innocence and claims he was out of town when Rey disappeared. Stansberry denies issuing any gag orders to employees, claiming he simply directed media inquiries to a spokesperson. Yet the mysterious phone call that lured Rey from his home originated from Agora Publishing's switchboard, and no one has ever come forward as the caller. Rey's financial situation at the time of death reveals another troubling detail. He died with $90,000 in debt. $70,000 of this debt was supposedly for expenses to be reimbursed by the Oxford Club, another Agora-related company. Despite promises of reimbursement, Allison was left to pay off this debt alone over the next 10 years. Investigative journalist Stephen Janis believes Rey was murdered and the scene was staged to look like suicide. Janis argues the case was closed prematurely due to heavy caseloads in both the medical examiner's office and police department. Critical evidence was mishandled. After Rey's body was removed, no security measures were put in place to preserve the scene. The conference room remained accessible to hotel staff and curious onlookers, potentially destroying vital evidence. No comprehensive examination was conducted of the parking garage or surveillance footage from the area. The Netflix series Unsolved Mysteries featured Rey's case in 2020, bringing renewed attention to the investigation. The episode generated thousands of tips and theories from viewers worldwide, but none have led to definitive answers. Online investigators have proposed numerous theories, from elaborate corporate conspiracies to psychological breakdowns to ritualistic murders. The game theory suggests Rey was acting out the David Fincher film, but his wife Allison dismisses this idea. Allison maintains that if Rey were suicidal, he would have left a clear explanation. He was a writer, after all. She believes Rey turned over some rock he shouldn't have turned over, implying he discovered dangerous information. The Freemason conspiracy theory has gained traction online, but lacks any concrete evidence connecting the organization to Rey's death. Some suggest Rey was killed during a botched initiation ceremony, but Masonic experts dismiss this as impossible. The timing of Rey's interest in Freemasonry, just days before his death, remains one of many troubling coincidences. Rey's missing money clip has never been recovered, adding another small mystery to the larger puzzle. The fact that Rey booked video editing time for the weekend after his disappearance suggests he had no plans to die. On that day, Rey was supposed to edit footage from a corporate conference he had filmed for Stansberry Associates. This detail contradicts the suicide theory. Why would someone planning to end their life make future appointments? The conference room where Rey was found had been locked and unused for months before his death. How did Rey access this specific room? Did he have help? Was he already dead when he arrived there? The horizontal distance Rey would have needed to travel from the main roof defies easy explanation. Even Olympic athletes would struggle to achieve the running speed necessary to clear such a gap. Could Rey, despite his height and athletic build, really have generated such momentum? The 3 windows visible near the hole in the roof add another disturbing possibility. Was Rey perhaps aiming for these windows, as suggested by the game theory, only to miss his target? The fact that Rey had previously visited the Belvedere roof with Allison to watch sunsets adds a personal dimension. Did this familiarity with the location make the roof a natural destination in Rey's final hours? Or did someone else know about Rey's connection to this place and use it against him? The website Rey left open, showing Baltimore's sunset time, could be innocent or deeply significant. Was he planning to watch another sunset with Allison upon her return? Or was this part of something darker? Nearly 2 decades later, Rey Rivera's death remains Baltimore's most perplexing mystery. Every answer leads to 3 more questions. Every piece of evidence contradicts another. Was Rey Rivera the victim of corporate murder, a psychological breakdown, a ritualistic killing, or something else entirely? The truth lies somewhere in the spaces between what we know and what we can prove. In the end, Rey Rivera took his secrets with him into that conference room, leaving behind only questions that may never be answered. Let us analyze this mystery through the lens of logic and deduction. Who had motive to harm Rey Rivera? His employer faced SEC investigation and fines. Rey may have possessed damaging information about fraudulent practices. The mysterious phone call remains the crucial clue. Someone lured Rey from safety with urgent deception. The staged scene, the disabled cameras, the impossible physics all point to elaborate planning and execution. Rey Rivera's death was no accident, no suicide, but murder disguised as mystery. Until someone comes forward with that final piece of evidence, Rey Rivera's ghost will continue to haunt the halls of the Belvedere Hotel. If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery, like and subscribe to Sherlock Mode.